Okay, we're probably good to get started now. Again, hi everyone. My name is Zack Johnson. I am from EAC, and I thank you all for joining us for our live webinar today, titled "Think Big with Large Format." So a couple people presenting. It'll be me, Zack Johnson, and Levi Smith will be joining in as well.
Absolutely.
So the agenda for this call will just run through some brief introductions. I'll do an overview of EAC, and then I will turn it over to Levi, and he's going to discuss some important topics, such as what is LFS, Form 3L and its ecosystem, and Form 3L applications, and some case studies. Yeah, and again, my name is Zack Johnson. I am the additive manufacturing specialist here at EAC, located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And my job is to help our customers bring 3D printing solutions in-house to save time and money over outsourcing.
Terrific. And my name's Levi Smith. I'm the Channel Sales Manager over at Formlabs, a company that specializes in SLA and SLS 3D printing or additive manufacturing technology. Been there for about 4.5 years. Had the chance to work with the likes of EAC, a terrific partner of ours, the last 4.5 years as well. So a little bit about my time at Formlabs. Spent the last 10 years in tech building indirect channel sales ecosystem. So again, really excited to present with you guys today. And I know, Zack, you had you wanted to do a quick introduction on EAC, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I appreciate it, Levi. So just a little bit about EAC and our mission. And so our mission is to transform the way companies design, manufacture, connect to, and service their products. And so we do this in a few ways. So we do this by offering engineering and design services, CAD and PLM solutions from PTC. We also offer assessments and IoT or Internet of Things solutions to help companies define a strategy of getting products smart connected. And then we also offer an affordable, simple to use 3D printing solution that makes it easy to bring additive manufacturing in-house. And that is with our partnership with Formlabs.
Awesome. So I guess I'll take over from there. So again, over at Formlabs, we offer both SLA and SLS technology, and more importantly, what kind of brings our products to market? Why do people use them? Why do they buy them in their day-to-day workflows? It really comes down to two key components, and that is we want to make it easy. We want to make it versatile. And if you think about kind of what Formlabs is about, our mission statement is more or less about democratizing this technology. How do we give you the power to make anything that you possibly want using SLA and SLS technology? And a snapshot of that is just kind of where we've gone and how we've grown, right? We've sold over 100,000 printers. Those printers have made over 100 million parts. It's really tied to two key components. How do we make it easy? How do we make it versatile? Easy really comes down to what it takes to set up a print, right? Very straightforward. We offer an ecosystem play. So it's not just the printer itself, it's the software on the front end. It's the post-processing equipment on the back end. And most importantly, it's easy to afford, right? You don't need a capital expenditure to afford a $5,000 or maybe even a $10,000 solution. Some of this technology in the past was, very, very capital intensive. And so just want to give you kind of a quick snapshot of who we are, what we're about. Really what we're talking about today is what makes this technology so powerful. Low force stereolithography, LFS. And that's really the key driver to our large format SLA printer, which we'll definitely dig into. But just a quick kind of snapshot on where we wanted to fit and what we saw in the market. We wanted to be an affordable, reliable desktop solution. You can take a look at kind of what's out there on the market, right? From things that you see on Amazon to maybe some of the more industrial machines with 3D systems or Stratasys. We want to sit somewhere in between, right? We want to give this technology to as many people as we possibly could, as opposed to the ones that could afford a very capital expensive product. And just a quick snapshot of our history. We've been in the SLA and SLS game since 2012. starting way back in our Kickstarter days with the Form 1, which we launched on Kickstarter in 2012. We really started to gain momentum with our Form 2, which is our third iteration of our SLA desktop solution. 2019, we did launch the Form 3 and 3L, which is powered by low force stereolithography. And then, of course, the Form 3B and the 3 and 3B Plus in 2022. So, we've been around for a little while now, roughly 10 years. And again, really excited about some of the technology we bring to the table, specifically LFS. We'll talk about that as we kind of go through today. But our traditional printers were inverted SLA machines. So traditionally, it was a right side up SLA, which is more or less the print bed goes down as you build layer by layer. You used to expend a lot of consumables, a lot of the materials, and it was a very capital expensive endeavor to take on one of these solutions, right? You used to put maybe $30,000 of materials in that vat. And so that's why we chose to do inverted SLA. And the reason being, again, it tends to be less cumbersome, less wasteful, and inverted SLA is the route we took on this. So that's what you have here. We build our parts from the ground up, or from the bottom up, excuse me. And again, it's a very affordable. You're not using as much material, and it allows us to keep a very compact and affordable solution on your desktop. So the next evolution that we went through is obviously low force stereolithography, which was a complete shift from what our traditional technology was, from the Form 1 all the way to the Form 2. LFS is printing that uses a flexible tank and linear illumination to turn liquid resin into the parts that you're looking to get accomplished. And the reason why this is so important is one of the big detractors from inverted SLA is peel force, right? There's a lot of peel force layer by layer when you're building up as opposed to building down. And LFS eliminates that roughly tenfold, right? So the peel force goes from X to 10X less than it was with inverted SLA. And there's a couple of great things that brings to the table. First, of course, you have more accurate parts. The parts, are more optically clear if you're looking for something for optics testing. I think one of the best factors, of course, is the fact that it allows you to build larger. It was really hard to actually achieve a successful part on our traditional inverted SLA technology. We had to shift to LFS to build bigger. And so that's when we, of course, launched the LFS solution. So we'll get into the Form 3L as we go through today, but just a couple of things to keep in mind. We have our a wide range of materials in our library. Again, a very versatile list of materials. I think we're up to roughly 35, and we break them down into 6 categories, including our SLS materials, our nylon resins. But that's what you have on the screen there. It's just a snapshot of the versatility of this machine. And the range of applications runs the gambit, right? From our general purpose resins to our specialty resins. Our tough and durable resins become more and more popular. Our rigid resins are really starting to take off. Those are glass filled SLA materials. And then, of course, we have our flexible or elastic that are very good, obviously, for those engineering applications, but of course, really starting to take off in the medical space as well. So we'll go ahead and talk about some of the applications and user stories that we have. And just to give you a rough idea of kind of how we break down on a vertical basis, there's 2 groups for us that people fall into. That is the majority, which are usually just using our tool to prototype, right? And that's what you see on the top left. On the bottom left, you have in-use parts. So those are the 2 buckets people fall into. 40% of it is focused on engineering, 30% is in healthcare, 30% is in education, and just a range of applications there. The first application I want to talk about, of course, is rapid prototyping. This is really our bread and butter. A lot of folks are looking to bring this type of technology in-house to do this, to control 2 things, really the cost associated to outsourcing, but the amount of time it takes to turn around sample parts, right? They want to bring this in-house for that specific reason. And there's a range of applications that people use the Form 3L for. Black Diamond's a great example. They're an outdoor, essentially, rugged mountain biking type of organization. They're They use a lot of different tools to prototype. They really appreciate the Form 3L and the large format associated to it. So again, you're able to build very large parts. You can see on the left there, the works like functional prototype is a helmet, roughly 1,700 milliliters in terms of resin. So it's a huge part, about 1.5 liters of material to build that part. Again, they're able to bring that process in-house. We also have an example from Maryland Institute College of Art. Again, they're looking to do a lot of, they're really looking to bring the digital workflow into the classroom, especially at the university level. And so what people really appreciate in the universities is the versatility of this machine, right? So if you want to spend a day talking about rigid glass filled materials and what applications apply, that's not a problem. If you want to go into the elastics, the flexible resins, teach purely around that, you absolutely can. And then of course you can take it a step further and just talk about how you're going to introduce the digital workflow. Maybe you're just going to talk about prototyping. There's a range of applications. There's a tremendous amount of versatility. And it really opens up the curriculum in terms of how they teach around that digital workflow. Manufacturing aids tends to be another bread and butter application for Formlabs, and there's another benefit to using a large format Form 3L in this solution, right? You're able to build at volume. So obviously you can take a look at the jigs and fixtures, that center picture, the amount of builds you'd have to do on one of our desktop solutions, just the Form 3 versus the 3L. The Form 3L has a build volume that's about, it's about a 5-fold increase, give or take. So the volume you're able to do, if you have small jigs and fixtures, you're absolutely able to get that accomplished. Customized tooling is a big application. Replacement parts it's really starting to gain some momentum based on what we see with the supply chain, what people are trying to get accomplished. I used to spend a lot of time talking to R&D departments who are just outsourcing their parts. They're looking to really bring that in-house, right? So a lot of those conversations are shifting to more or less supply chain problems, right? How do we change the dynamic of the supply chain problem that we have? 3D printing is really starting to take off with regards to replacement parts. Tooling also tends to be a big one, whether that's functional prototypes that you see on the far left with Quip. That is a vacuum forming prototype there. So that's just one of the applications. You can do on-demand production of in-use parts, which you see on the far right. So it really runs the gambit. And a lot of people, what they're really trying to get accomplished is how do we save time with regards to outsourcing? How do we save money with regards to outsourcing? The large format Form 3L really brings that in-house. I'd say 80% of all SLA applications can be printed on the Form 3L. Compression molding, also, again, OXO is another company we work with. Again, they're doing some very intriguing things with regards to molding. So what you see in the middle there is an application associated to injection molding. And, they're able to do a lot of testing and, really iterate rather quickly with regards to some of the molds they built. So the range of applications really runs the gambit. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but thermoforming or vacuum forming applications, these are starting to take off. So you can see the example there from Lush. If you walk into any Lush cosmetic store, they do this in-house, but they build their molds with the Form 3L. And essentially that's the starting block for some of the designs they bring in-house. Quip is another great example there. And then, of course, the medical space, right? This tends to be about 30% of our business. Really starting to take off with regards to surgical planning models. So this is very big for the OR, right? You have a group of surgeons going into a very tricky surgery. Sure, you can show them, the scan and they can see it digitally, but surgeons are very much rely on their hands. So what they'll do is they'll take that scan, they'll turn it into a 3D print. Maybe it's a tricky tumor removal, a really tricky surgery. They'll group the surgeons together. They'll put their hands on that 3D model before they go in the OR. And we have a series of case studies that kind of showcase the amount of time saved when surgeons have a 3D printed part in their hand before they go into the OR. So there's a really strong business case there. And of course, some bread and butter stuff for EAC, medical device and surgical tool prototyping. It's really bread and butter for what we do out there. So the range of applications runs the gambit. And it really just comes down to, some of the questions you guys might have, right? The Form 3L has been in service since 2019. It's really starting to take off because people want to bring this technology in-house, whether that is supply chain concerns or just the idea of bringing their design sprints and their design life cycles to a shorter time frame. 3D printing is really starting to take off. The digital workflow within those organizations is really starting to be adopted. So want to make today short and sweet, see if there's any additional questions. Yeah. And Zach, I didn't know if you want to kind of just add some context here as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Levi, for all that wonderful information. And yeah, like you said, any additional questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Otherwise, my contact information is listed on this slide as well. And yeah, we're just that local resource. Not sure if you guys are near the Minneapolis, Minnesota area, but more than happy to help answer any questions. And we also have a customer experience center as well that we're getting set up. We just moved offices, but we'll be getting that set up. And if you want to come take a look at our printers and just see the workflow and get more hands-on, I'd be more than happy to show you that as well. So feel free to reach out with any questions.
Yeah, and Zach, I was wondering if you could just kind of dive into the Experience Center. What you guys are setting up, what you guys are trying to get accomplished with that. I know you guys got some of our printers in there, right?
Yes, so we have the Form 3 Plus, and we do actually have the Form 3, also a large format printer as well, and the Fuse 1. So we've had a lot of great success with customers coming in just to kind of see the full workflow and get more hands-on and just see the materials and how that works and the whole workflow between the wash and the cure. So yeah, like I said, we've had great success with that, and we're excited to continue that on to our new location in Minneapolis. And yeah.
That's awesome. And I know I've had a chance to see that Experience Center in real time. Again, it's a fantastic setup. I know Zach and the team are consistently doing a lot of benchmark samples. So if you want to see what these tools can do, definitely reach out to Zach. Again, he can obviously work with you to give you a feel for what this technology is capable of doing based on what you're looking to get accomplished. And what I love about working with EIC and just their experience in the space is they have a very holistic approach to solving engineering problems. It's not, here's the technology we sell, this is obviously the solution. It is, what is your engineering problem? Let's talk about a holistic solution. And so that's really all you have to do with EIC is come to them with that engineering problem, and they're going to have a good story to tell and hopefully a good solution for what you're looking to get accomplished.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Levi.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't have any questions, but I'm going to just fire off questions to Zach here. Zach, you've had a chance to print with the Form 3L. What do you like? What don't you like?
Yeah, well, as far as the Form 3L goes, I'm somewhat new to this position or this technology. So like less than a year, and just the first thing I noticed was the ease of use. It's super easy to have your STL file through Preform and send that on through to the printer, and just the whole setup was super easy. So that was the first thing I had noticed. And it's parts can be, I mean, obviously depending on the part size and whatnot, it's same day that you can have that part in hand and ready to go. So
that's interesting. What do you usually see folks? I guess better question. What do you see as maybe one of the barriers to entry for 3D printing? Right? Is it traditional workflows? Is there where do you see people gaining the most value, and where do you see kind of like the biggest objections with regards to bringing this in-house?
Yeah, so
Putting you on the spot a little bit here, Zach.
no, that's okay.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
as far as like one of the biggest benefits I've seen, at least with customers that I've been working with, is been just that rapid prototyping. The biggest thing is that they'd reach out to certain companies and have to find a solution, and it could be weeks or sometimes months to get certain things back to them. Instead of just having that in-house and being able to have multiple sample parts or prototypes printed out within the same day, I mean, that's huge on the lead time. That's been the biggest benefit that I've seen with the customers I've been working with.
Gotcha. That makes a ton of sense. And I see that too, right? Like that's a big component of what I see. Whether it's the Form 3L or the Form 3, let's say you have a 4-hour job. Zach touched on it, the ease of use, right? It's not only easy to set up, it's easy actually to change over materials. So let's say you do have a 4-hour job, right? But you want to see what that looks like between our tough 1500 and our tough 2000. That's a day's work, right? You got a 4-hour job in the morning, you got a 4-hour job in the afternoon. You actually have 2 different samples, 2 different parts, or 2 different samples of 2 different materials on the same part to see what truly fits the best. It's a great argument for anyone who's currently outsourcing this type of service. Yeah, Zach, I completely agree with you. Yeah, and I think one of the things I think about as well is what does it mean to use SLA in house? Is it difficult? Is it tricky? It's very straightforward to set up, right? And it's very straightforward to use. We really want to make sure it was an ecosystem play. So everything is connected, whether it's the firmware in the printer, the software on the front side, or the preform, the slicing software, the post-processing. Whether you're using the Form 3L or the Form 3, it takes no more than an hour or 2 hours to actually set up the printer, start printing. And I'd say 40% of our users have little to no 3D printing experience before using Formlabs, right? So it's not as if you need a technical engineer who has a 3D printing background to start working with us. It's actually quite straightforward, right? And that's the way we really built it, right? How do we make it easy? How do we make it versatile? That's really what it comes down to with Formlabs. Anyways, I feel like I'm answering my own question here, Zach.
No,
Nonetheless, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, of course, that's great, and that's one objection that I hear as well, and another one is just when customers, I originally speak with them before they come into the CXC or Customer Experience Center, is they'll mention the space too, and a lot of times like the workshops that they're working with don't have the correct space for typical 3D printer, and once they come into the Customer Experience Center and just visualize how that could fit into their workspace, they actually just go right on a desktop. And that works out really well for them. And a lot of people are surprised to see the size of the printers, but yet also a big build space as well within the printer.